Hi Year 8, it's me again, and I'm doing this video because we're about to start a new unit on food and digestion, and I wanted to explain why we're doing things in the order that we are. The first thing that we're going to do in our unit is look at food groups and food types, because that's something that is so much easier to do when you're at home than when we're in the lab, because as you know, we're not allowed to bring food into the lab and we certainly can't eat it. But it occurred to me that since you're at home, that it's the perfect time to be thinking about what you eat and maybe trying new foods, looking at foods, and annoying your parents by jumping into the pantry and having a look around at what's in there. So, the first thing that I want you to do is to keep a food diary. And a food diary means writing down everything that you eat and drink over a day period and recording it somewhere. What I've done is I've made a document which is on the OneNote called Food Diary Table, I think, and it divides up foods. It's very basic because to begin with we're only going to look at the three most important major nutrients in food, and those are carbohydrates and protein and fats. Now I know that foods have got a lot of other things like vitamins and minerals and fibre, but we're not going to be worried about those for the time being. At the moment we're just going to think about those three major nutrients, and also we're going to think about the amount of energy in food. So I'm going to ask you to keep a food diary, and what that will involve is that every time you eat something, make a note of it, and preferably go and have a look at the package or the box or the jar which the food came from, if there is one, and look on the back of it, and you'll be aware that there are food labels which tell you about the proportions of different nutrients in food, and you'll need to make a note of that. If you take a photograph of the label, that will help you, and you can perhaps keep that in a document alongside your food diary. So one problem you're going to come up against is that depending on where the food comes from, it might record the energy in either, it might say calories, it might say kilocalories, it might say joules or kilojoules. Because we're in New Zealand, we measure our energy values in joules. So I would like you to record joules if you can. If the only thing that your food type gives you is calories or kilocalories, then write that number down and you can convert them later. Okay, and then you need to have a look at the serving size. So for example, when I open a packet of biscuits, it might say serving size 2 biscuits, and then it gives me the nutritional values for that serving. Obviously, if I'm a complete pig and I eat 20 biscuits instead of 2, then the nutritional content that I'm getting out of it is going to be quite a lot more than the serving size values on the back of the packet, so you need to think about that. So if you keep a record of everything you eat and drink, remembering that even small amounts of stuff can make a difference. So if you have a yummy salad with your dinner and you look up the nutritional values of everything in your salad, you might find that there's very little fat, very little carbs, very little energy, not much protein either in any of your salad vegetables. But the minute you put a couple of tablespoons of mayonnaise on top of it, or some oil and vinegar dressing, then everything changes. So please be aware of those little extras that you add to things that you don't necessarily think are all that important, because they are important for your numbers for the week. So what I recommend that you do is you look at all the documents that I've put on the OneNote. Please read them before you ask questions that are obviously answered in the documents. Make sure that you've read what I've written, and do your very best to keep a food diary for preferably at least 5 days, so that we can end up with some data that we can average out at the end of it and find out how you're tracking compared to the recommended values for the different nutrients. So I hope that's reasonably clear. If it isn't that clear, maybe listen to this over again, read the documents, and perhaps ask your mum or dad or an older sibling who might be able to help you understand what I'm on about. Okay, nice to see you. Bye.